Hello, my name is Wolfgang Carstens. Welcome to Poets Underground, a poetry show that celebrates and showcases the best and the brightest authors currently working the marrow of contemporary poetry. My guest tonight, joining us live via satellite from San Francisco, California, is actor and award-winning author Mr. William Taylor Jr. Mr. Taylor's books include Words for Songs Never Written, So Much Is Burning, The Hunger Season, An Age of Monsters, and most recently, Broken When We Got Here. Mr. Taylor, welcome to Poets Underground.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm good. Got home from work a little bit ago, having a few beers, and I'm good.
Excellent. The fire engines are off tonight?
Yeah, well, they could be going by any moment.
Right on. You know what? That seems to drive your work forward. You know, I'm going to jump right in here.
Just presses.
Excellent. You know, I want to ask you, what are the essential elements in a William Taylor Jr. poem?
It depends from poem to poem, you know? Sometimes I just kind of take in what's going on around me and try to make some sense of it. But I guess it needs to be honest, I guess, you know? Just kind of trying to make some sense of whatever it is that's going on at any given moment, I guess, is the essential element.
So I know in your work you talk a lot about beauty. You reference beauty.
Right.
You mention to be beautiful again. Can you please explain what is the importance of beautiful and becoming beautiful, and how do we become beautiful? And when did we stop becoming beautiful?
Well, I guess in my mind, you're beautiful when you are most true to yourself. When you are doing what you want to be doing as much as you can. You're being honest with yourself. When you're just being as much as you can be the person that you want to be. I guess that's when you're beautiful. It's not like a physical thing. It's just trying to be as much yourself as you can, I guess, you know? When people stop being beautiful, when they follow paths that lead them to places away from themselves, I think.
Right. So let me ask you, are you beautiful?
I don't think I'm the one to judge such a thing.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at you now, and you're obviously one beautiful mad motherfucker, but do you feel that you're being true to yourself? Is this your path? It's something I strive towards. I'm definitely something I wrestle with all the time. You know, trying to you know, balance the things you have to do in life and the things you want to do in life, you know, and trying to come out on the good end of it. So yeah, it's something I wrestle with constantly, but I'm trying to stay true to myself. And as you get older, you know, it gets a little harder. You know, life kind of comes bearing down on you. Right.
But yeah, I'm trying.
Excellent. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as a poetry show, and we love lots of poetry on the show, I'm going to give you 15 minutes, Mr. Taylor, to drop some bombs. So if you want to go ahead and just read us a 15-minute shot, the stage is yours, brother.
All right. I don't have it timed perfectly, so gong me, you know, when I'm done, or let me know.
Okay.
So I was picking out stuff to read, and I was going to start off with some older things from my first book, just because I haven't read them in a while, and it's almost like reading new stuff. Okay. It's called The Sad, Dumb Beauty of Everything. It is there in a dream, the moments before the waking. It is there in a smile from a stranger burning in the same fire. It is there as you sit naked on the floor, smoking cigarettes at 4 a.m., as crazy as a flower in a graveyard. It is there in the empty space your body once filled, where your memory still remains, left behind like a pair of earrings, forgotten on the bed, so sad and dumb and beautiful. This is called The Wheel. Saturday afternoon, drinking beer in a bar by the sea. It is April and 76 degrees. The sun is out and girls wet with ocean swimming walk beneath it. Each and every one of them so perfectly beautiful. Meanwhile, many miles away in a country I know nothing about, many people I know nothing about are being raped and bombed and murdered for vague and various reasons I know nothing about. I try to imagine it. I try to imagine the horror occurring the very same moment that I finish a bottle and order another from a smiling, sunburned waitress. It is impossible. And part of me desperately wants to feel guilty, but the raped and the bombed and the murdered wouldn't really give a damn. If given a choice, they too would be drinking beer in a seaside bar as bombs fell on people they never met. And the wheel spins and deals terror to some, and to others momentary peace. And I could stand for hours on the sidewalk with signs of protest and only get sore feet. A moment from now, the wheel will spin again, and my own turn at terror will come. In the meantime, I drink my beer, smile at the waitress, feel good for as long as I possibly can, just as any sane man would do. It's called Statement of Purpose. I guess this is one of my earlier attempts at kind of a manifesto, I guess, of what I try to do with poetry. Statement of Purpose. I'm not interested in allegory or metaphor. I'm not interested in art or poetry or the power of language. I'm interested in things on fire. I'm interested in the eyes of animals. I'm interested in the way a blade cuts the skin. I'm interested in the way a woman's body moves as it crosses the street. I'm interested in tearing apart this moment, or any moment, peeling away the skin, seeing it from the inside out, and holding it in my hands. I want to imagine what God was thinking when he did this. This is called All the Love Poems. All the love poems in the world, written in 1,000 days by 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 computers. All the love poems in the world, just a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. All the love poems in the world only told you what you wanted to hear. All the love poems in the world sold you out the first chance they got. All the love poems in the world have moved far, far away. They do not return your phone calls or your letters. All the love poems in the world never really gave a damn. All the love poems in the world are laughing at you right now. They're fucking someone else the moment you leave the room. All the love poems in the world are faking it every time. All the love poems in the world are lost and drunk and suicidal, wandering the streets at 3 a.m. All the love poems in the world can't do a damn thing for you now. Here's another happy little ditty. This is called Theology. We were talking, and she spoke to me of God and angels and similar things. God has a plan, she said, for each and every one of us. And at that same moment, I was reading an article in a magazine about a Russian man convicted of killing 21 boys, 14 girls, and 17 women. He tortured his victims by biting out their tongues, tearing away their sexual organs, and cutting their bellies open. Sometimes he ate their genitals. I thought to myself, that God of hers, he's got some fucked up plans. And I took a drink from my glass and said nothing. I didn't want to talk about it anymore. Here's another poem kind of touching on beauty, I guess, or my idea of it. It's called The Only Thing. To be beautiful in spite of everything, that is what is needed. In spite of the ugliness of these times and of this people, in spite of what you have done and what has been done to you, in spite of life, in spite of death. To be beautiful when nothing else is. It is not an easy thing, but it is the only thing that matters. I will try, if you will. You have a couple bar poems. I live, downtown San Francisco. There's a bar. There's a liquor store in every corner and a bar in between the corners. So here's a couple bar poems. Good a place as any. 6 p.m. beer in a bar of no particular description. There's the after-work crowd and the host of regulars who never seem to leave. People in here dress as badly as anywhere, and there's no wisdom in the talk, no strength in the faces, or kindness in the smiles. Yet, it's as good a place to hide as any, and the feeling of the drink warm in your guts adds a bit of substance to an otherwise empty day. And the walls seem to shut out the rest of the world. Within them, life and death somehow do not hold their usual terror. All sensation is muted to a casual dullness. And the jukebox music and the smoke of cigarettes lulls you into a sad sort of peace. There is nothing to strive for, nothing to know or to desire. And I cling to my free drink token like a card that will get me out of jail for free. And here's another bar poem about a place just down the block from me. And I guess its official name is the Giri Club because it's on Giri Street, but people call it different things because it's just a door. There's no sign or anything. It's like this weird little secret door you walk into. And so some people call it the No Name Bar. Some people call it the Tiger Head Bar because there's a tiger head above the bar. But this is called The Faces and the Voices and the rest of it. I wake up and call in sick to work because some days the faces and the voices and the rest of it are just a little too much to take. And time is needed just to stare at walls or get righteously drunk or do nothing at all, which seems to be a dying art and a dying world. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I walk along Giri Boulevard until I find a bar that has no name. It's just a doorway to a dark and dual room, an escape hatch from the day. And I duck in there, and the bartender is kind. I order a beer, and she gives me that and a shot of something on the house. I look up at the television screen, and I see the city of New Orleans underwater. And a voice says, "Hey, Elvis!" And I turn my head, and a blonde woman old enough to be my mother flashes her tits. I smile weakly and buy her a beer, glad to have found a new place to hide. How are we doing on time?
You know what, my friend? We're doing excellent.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, poetry for the most part is about exploring relationships. Relationship to God, relationship with your spouse, relationship with nature. What are the relationships that are important to you, as far as exploring in your work?
As far as my work goes, I guess just a good relationship with myself, again, going back to the idea of being true to yourself as you can, and with everyone. I guess being as honest as you can about the way you live your life, I guess, is, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way to answer that question. But,
no, that makes perfect sense. I guess, as a follow-up, what do you hope readers take away from your work?
I guess sometimes, I think when I write something, sometimes I like to write about things or feelings that not universal. Nothing really is universal, but sometimes I like to write about things that I'm thinking, but you rarely say out loud, and it's kind of like there's so much going on right underneath the skin of everyday life that no one talks about. Everyone just says, hey, how are you? How's it going? I'm going okay. How blah blah blah. And there's just so much going on, like right underneath the surface of everything, that you're not supposed to talk about in a polite conversation. And I guess that's what I try to do with a lot of my writings, just kind of talk about things you're not supposed to talk about, I guess,
Right.
In a way. But yeah.
Fair enough. It's interesting because and I think you and I have had this discussion on a previous occasion. Life is essentially meaningless. We're born,
right.
We suffer, and then we die.
Right.
And my question to you, and this is a heavy one, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, why write at all?
That's a good question. And I ask myself that a lot.
So would you be happier not? I don't want to jump your answer here, but would you be happier not writing?
Not really, because if I don't write, it just starts welling up inside me. Like you need to take a shit or something. It just kind of wells up inside, and you kind of have to get it out. I think it helps me kind of make sense of things, because like I'm not the kind of person that can really keep a diary or a journal or anything. I don't know. And so like my poetry and my writing is a way of kind of trying to make sense of things and then sharing it with other people. It's a way of connecting with other people, I guess. You write it, you put it out there, and it makes sense to someone else, and it makes you feel, I guess, kind of more connected to people.
Right. So it is important for you as a human to stay human.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good way to put it.
Well, thank you, my friend. That was an excellent answer to a very hard question. By all means, continue.
Okay.
It sounds excellent, brother.
This is called The Bones of Things. We exist for a time and then do not. The arrangement seems simple and obvious enough. I hold the bones of things in my hands, and they tell me as much. A brief hint of light, squeezed in somehow between a grand and endless darkness. There is beauty enough in this. But fools we are, we ache for something else. And this is where the trouble begins. This is called The Fact of My Uselessness. She laughs at the fact of my uselessness, and I laugh as well. Having learned to wear it like an only suit, having learned to wave it like an obscene flag of my own making. The benign indifference of the universe is the benign indifference of myself. We argue this point or that, as half-empty bottles of purple wine surround us, looking bored. And suicides stare into mirrors, and madmen wander moonless streets, and the dead point fingers of blame at the living. And should the world come knocking at my door, I'll send it back into the street like the beggar it is. People tend to buy with their souls, while I steal what I can when no one is looking. The world is easily won if such things interest you. If you doubt this, look into the eyes of your neighbor. You'll find him desperate to believe in something, anything, as long as it doesn't cost very much. You'll find him desperate for comfort, desperate for sleep, desperate to be led to the nearest exit out of themselves. She tells me she's just looking for her place in the world. And I tell her if she finds it, she'd be smart to trade it in for something she could use. Okay, this is one called Being Lonely. We closed down the bar, went back to my place and did the usual things. And at about 4 a.m, I said, I'm going to bed now. But she wasn't sleepy, and she stayed up to watch movies. And hours later climbed into bed, She tossed and turned and made funny noises. When the sun came up, we were both still awake, and she started asking questions like, did I believe in past lives, like fairies and horoscopes? And I told her I didn't believe in much of anything, and that I was very sleepy. And she told me I had an interesting nose, and that my hands were small. And she asked if I was always this quiet, and I said yes, I was. And she asked me why I didn't talk much, and I told her I didn't have much to say, and that I was very sleepy. And she said she was hungry, and I said I didn't have any food. But she persisted, so I stole an apple from my housemates. And she found some of my poems, and she read them and asked me what they meant, and I told her I didn't know. And then she found my guitar, and she sat on my bed and played a Celtic song, sang in a cracked and heavy voice about fairies and past lives. And I said, that's nice, but I'm very, very sleepy and I have to go to work soon. Then she played another song, and then another, and then a few more. Finally stopped and turned on my computer to check her mail. She talked to the screen as she read her mail. And then I took a shower, and when I came out of the shower, she was still there. And she asked if I wanted to ride to work. And I said, no, thank you, I'll walk. And I took her number, and I told her I would call. And as I watched her car disappear around a corner, the world seemed a much better place. And I suddenly remembered that being lonely wasn't as bad as a lot of things.
Excellent. You know, my friend, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
you are appearing in a short film. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That was put together by actually a friend of mine I used to know in Santa Cruz. We years ago, we both lived in Santa Cruz, and then we reconnected maybe about a couple years ago when we realized we both lived in San Francisco and a couple blocks from each other. And her and her husband were co-editors of the Creoso Journal, this online literary journal. And they had an idea. They wanted to start doing little kind of mini documentaries about various things, artists and such. And they invited me to be kind of their test subject, if you will, like the subject of the first one. And so we did that. I went to their apartment, and they had a wonderful girl film it, Kelly Taylor, I think her name was, and she was really great, and they edited it really well to make me not seem like an idiot, and yeah, it turned out really, really good. It's a neat little film.
Right on. I'm looking forward to watching that. You know, I should, that reminds me, let me do that. I want to congratulate you for winning an Akron Award this year for poetry. Congrats, man. That's absolutely incredible. You joining a great club of people there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing crowd of people that I got lumped in with. It's kind of, yeah, it's almost kind of silly, but it's kind of cool.
Well, you know, with the film, with the Akron Award, of course, your book, An Age of Monsters, is presently being studied in university classrooms. You know, it's about time you're getting the kind of attention your work deserves. So congrats on everything, my friend.
Right, thank you. Yeah.
You know, we have a couple minutes here. So,
okay.
What I want to know is what's coming up next for William Taylor Jr.?
Well, as far as literary type things, I've had a new book of poetry in the works for quite a while with Sunny Outside Press out of Buffalo here in the U.S., and that's going to come out early in the new year. I've been concentrating on stories again. I want to maybe eventually collect enough stories to put out another little collection of short fiction, and but yeah, just plugging away.
Excellent. And for all our viewers, where can they find you online?
Well, I had a fancy website for a while that Julie Michelle, the wonderful photographer, made for me, and then I kind of let it die, and that doesn't exist anymore. WilliamTaylorJr.net does not exist anymore. So you can find me on Facebook, Tumblr, I still have like an old blog, more words for songs never written on Blogspot. So you can find me those places, but Facebook and Tumblr is kind of, yeah, where.
Okay, fair enough. You know, I want to thank you, man. Thank you so much for being my guest on Poets Underground today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure,
man. Excellent, and excellent words. I look forward to reading your new collections. Of course, I'm very interested in that fiction collection. And the poetry book, Sunny Outside, is a fantastic press. They're definitely in the top 3 as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking forward to that. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Please join me next month when my guest will be Mr. Bill Gaynor. William, it's a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you, Wolf.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.